The guy came to an emergency room in Texas sick and said, I came in from West Africa. I have a fever of 102, and they sent him home.
Yeah, they gave him some antibiotics.
That was a gaffe of humongous proportion. That's how other people were exposed. This kind of thing can happen. I understand that's what's really so scary about this, but they contained it. They've got it. But, Leanne, you say that's not enough.
Well, Dr. Drew, you know, Evie was saying in the first block, and I agree, the same thing, that this is something that can be really, really bad. We already know it's gotten into the United States, so it can happen. Now, I have no problem with people being quarantined. The problem is who's going to pay for it in America? And it is very hard to stop. We can say stop, you know, them coming from Nigeria, from Liberia, and all the other countries in West Africa that have Ebola outbreaks. But that's very difficult because a lot of people take, you know, flights through Europe and other places around the world to get here. So what do? Who foots the bill for that? But I'm not against maybe having them stay for 3 weeks in quarantine before they leave their country to make sure that they don't have Ebola, Dr. Drew. And I know you're the doctor, so you know more than I do, but it is a very real thing. And the WHO and the CDC, they're all behind the 8 ball on this. They admitted that they're months behind really saying that it's the threat that it is and that the amount of people have died is way more than they ever thought it was going to be.
In West Africa. Yes, I agree with you, Erica.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it can't spread, Dr. Drew.
Erica.
I know you're trying to just kind of dissipate some of the fear because, you know, watching some of these things, people can kind of let it go, get to their head and go crazy with it. But at the same time, we are on the cusp of an epidemic, and the fact that it is so deadly and that it is so contagious, we do have to take it very seriously.
Okay. We're not.
I think we do.
You guys, we can't compare. We can't compare what's happening in West Africa, which is so sad and so unfortunate. I get it. 7,400 people infected. Supposedly that rate doubles every 3 weeks. Very alarming. But they're dealing with different variables
and most
that don't apply to us here. But it doesn't. They don't have the whole. Can I finish? No. They don't have the same amount of medical or even the same quality of medical facilities and medical aids. They don't have the same adequate shelter.
I don't know that our hospitals are prepared to deal with 7,000 people sick with Ebola.
Judy, help me help people assess what's really going on here. I mean, we have people that don't vaccinate against a real seriously infectious illness, measles, and people are freaking out about one case of Ebola in Texas.
That's right, Dr. Drew. We are not on the verge of an epidemic. This is a statistical problem that we all have as human beings because we are much more responsive to emotional appeal. So this is scaring a lot of people. So we're like, okay, we're going to be the next victim. I have friends watching 28 Days Later thinking that that's going to happen to us. It's not going to happen, you guys, because statistically, it is very, very low that you're going to contract Ebola. It is very hard to contract Ebola, as you already mentioned, Dr. Drew, and the doctors do know how to deal with it once you present with the symptoms.
Yeah, but like the guy in Dallas didn't even answer. He lied on his flight itinerary saying, have you been in contact with anybody in Ebola? And he had, and he said no.
Well, but Leanne, I'm so glad you're the one on this panel because there's so many other, even with that, and let's say that happens 30 more times, even with that, that's still, there's so many worse things right now swirling around every one of you.
It's not like there's nothing else out there that we can get sick from, but this is a real problem.
It's the equivalent of people being afraid to fly. You understand?
Or
Judy?
Sorry, I was just going to say, it's like less than the chances of you being hit by lightning.
Yes.
It really is.
Oh, substantially less.
Right.
Substantially less.
Well, I don't want to be on a plane with a guy who lied about being in contact with somebody from Ebola.
I don't want you to be either, and I'm not saying you should be. I'm not taking some sort of weird radical position. I'm just trying to put it in
calm the hysteria.
Context. It's scary.
I think we need to take it seriously.
It is scary. We must take it seriously.
But at the same time, I'm not getting crazy with it.
But as a clinician, I can tell you, and I'll throw some stuff up in the next segment about what it is that the government is telling you. They're being very transparent about what this thing is and how it works, and all the data is what the same thing we as physicians know. You have available to you on CNN and HLN. It's the same every time the head of the CD gets up and talks. I've known him for years. He's a great physician. I mean, really an amazing guy, and he's telling you the truth. I've known him for years.